Hello and welcome to another episode of Thick Slices and Deep Cuts. On today's show, I'm going to be reviewing the discography and ranking the discography of a band that is pretty hard to categorize, but that band is Dead Can Dance. They are originally from Melbourne, Australia, although they have a lot of connections to England and Ireland and the UK, but officially got their start in Melbourne, Australia back in, I think, as far back as '81. When Brendan Perry and Lisa Gerrard joined forces to form this band. And in the beginning, they were an actual band consisting of drums, guitars, the whole thing. I don't know what their scene was. I guess it's like new wave or dark wave or post-punk. But I think in the beginning, they were actually, even though in Australia in the beginning, they started out in England in that scene with, the only band I recognized was The Cure. But I saw bands like Sisters of Mercy and Bauhaus and Cocteau Twins and stuff like that. Not too terribly familiar with the scene, but I do dig their early Gothic vibe that they had going on. And one of the great things about reviewing this discography, and one of the things I love about the band, is just their evolution from album to album. So I'm going to rank all 10 albums, and you're thinking, if anybody knows the band, says they only have 9. Well, they have a live album that they put out that has 11 of the 15 songs that are original songs, or at least new to the listener. So even if you took out the 4 songs that they played live that are on previous albums, you still got 11 songs and probably close to 50 minutes of music. So I definitely wanted to rank that too. So I'm going to throw that little wrinkle in there, and we're going to do 10 albums. So hard to rank. Again, much like I've been saying lately, forget the ranking. Just you know, enjoy the ride. I kind of knew what my top 2 were, but I mean, up until filming this right now, I switched my bottom 3 around again. So that just tells you that it's pretty much impossible to give this an accurate ranking. But I'll do my best here. So again, started as a band. Basically, it's really just a 2-piece effort. It's Brendan and Lisa. And so we will get started. I'm putting this at number 10. I think it's a good album. I don't really have anything too bad to say about it. I'll just show it here, and we're going with Spirit Chaser from 1996. This was their last album before a long hiatus. So they put this out in 1996, and it was the last proper release until 16 years later. And this is, while they're in this phase, I call it their ethnic world music phase, that started sort of in the mid-90s here. And it's not that I don't like this album. One of the first songs I ever heard from them, Divorcium, is a really cool song, and if we go long enough, you might hear an excerpt from that. But this is definitely continuing in the pace of the last studio album, but just completely world music, completely ethnic world music. Songs are pretty good, but it's really slow. It's probably their slowest album, and it's tough to sit through the whole album. I kind of find myself skipping a track, and these tracks are long too. They're all like 8 or 9 or 10 minutes, and you get to a point and you're just ready to get to the next track. That said, if you have the patience for it, Nirinka is pretty good. That's the opener. Song of the Stars is okay. It's got its moments. I think Indus is a really good track. I think I mentioned the last track, Divorcium, probably my favorite, one of my favorite tracks they've ever done. Indus would be the other one. I don't know the world instruments they use. Every time I say it sounds like an Indian thing, it could be a Turkish thing, or it could be a, you know, a Saharan sound, or, you know, it could be from some region I'm not sure of. But Indus has that sort of Indian sound to it. It's pretty cool. But these songs are all like 8, 9, 10 minutes long, so it's just tough to get through them, especially at that slower pace. And every song seems to be at that slower pace. It's not just 1 or 2. But if this is, if I'm considering this my least favorite of their albums, you're a pretty damn good band. It's mainly just because it's just the slowest album, and also it doesn't break a ton of new ground from the previous album too. I think that's another reason why I'm trying to explain why this is 10th. I'm trying to prove to myself that this should be number 10, but the reality is I kind of like this album, and it's got a lot of good stuff on it. So there you go. Something had to come in at number 10. And so for today, I'm coming in, it's their 7th studio album. It's their 8th album overall from 1996. But again, something had to come in at last, so I'm going to go with Spirit Chaser, part of their ethnic world music phase. But still a decent album, and there's certainly moments on here for sure. Just like every single album they have, you're going to have an awesome moment or two or three. So there you go, Spirit Chaser, 1996. Okay, coming in at number 9. Again, this was tough. This bottom part just kept changing. But I'm going to go with their 5th album from 1990, Ion, which is spelled A-I-O-N, Ion. You know, this is them in what I would call their medieval phase. And they're always kind of shifting. So I think the album before Spirit Chaser was getting into that ethnic world music, but it still hung on to certain other styles a little bit. This is pretty much completely in this medieval Renaissance, whatever you want to call this, neoclassical medieval Renaissance style. And again, it's not that I don't like the album. It's 12 songs, 36 minutes, which a lot of their albums early on were pretty short. Nothing was at the 40-minute mark. It was all in that 35 to 38 range. But, you know, Saltarello's an excellent track. It's a 14th century Italian piece, and that sounds really good. And again, we may hear that here shortly. It's 2.5 minutes. It's cool, but, you know, you open with the arrival and the reunion. I think it's like 1.5 minutes, and that's the other thing. A lot of sketches on here. I'm looking for songs, mostly, usually, and this is just heavy on these little minute-long sketches and not really songs. They're cool, but you know, they're not always the most memorable of the tracks, or of the tracks on the album. Like Mephisto, I don't even think that's a minute. The Song of the Sibyl is okay. It's definitely still in this medieval vibe, but it's decent, and it's a little bit longer, at least like in the 4-minute range or so. I think Fortune presents us gifts not according to the book. That's one that Brendan sings. By the way, you can hear him in the background. He's got this really cool like crooner voice, which is a complete opposite from Lisa Gerard's. I don't know if she's falsetto, but whatever her operatic voice is that can do all these cool tricks and things. And so she does this, and he's a really nice, it's like a yin and a yang. He's a really nice compliment to what she does. A completely different end of the spectrum. So he's on that, and, you know, as the bell rings, the maypole spins. That's one that Lisa sings, and that one is pretty good too. So it still has good stuff. Again, I'm ranking it 9th. But it's still not bad. And Black Sun's okay. It's just a lot of short sketches, and everything's medieval, so you're not really getting Dead Can Dance doing... I mean, I guess it's Gothic, but they're not doing any, like, super memorable songs on here, but it's still good. And a lot of this sounds like you're in a ancient, like in a church. Centuries ago, you're in church, a Catholic church or an Orthodox church or something like that. So if you think about it in those terms, it's pretty cool. But it's also a continuation. The album before was cool, but it was hinting at medieval music. And then this takes it all the way into medieval. Much like the album before Spirit Chaser was hinting at the world ethnic music, but not 100%. But this went completely full bore into that. Same thing here. The album before was hinting at medieval stuff. This is full medieval. So they're not really moving the ball forward as much as their previous albums, which, by the way, Dead Can Dance took chances all the time. They're always brave. Every album was a big jump. This one, not as much, and this one, not as much either. And that's probably why I'm trying to justify putting these towards the bottom of the list. But again, it's got classic moments on here, and it's still a good album. So there you go. Number 9 from 1990, their 5th studio album, Ion. Okay, number 8, I have the least familiarity with this one because it's the newest album, their 9th studio album, 10th overall. Dionysus, apparently that's the Greek god of wine. This is broken into 2 acts, but really it's like 7 songs. Really good production. This is, I guess, in this world music vibe. But unlike Spirit Chaser, the paces are better, the production's way better, just because it's 2018 here and not 1996. And the first act, I don't think Brendan sings at all on that one, but on the second act, starting with the mountain, he starts to sing, and the forest is a really good piece towards the end. But the invocation, which is part of Act 2, is probably a top 3 song. So I'm ranking this 8th, but I'm also a little unfamiliar with it, and it's kind of continuing the world music vibe. But the productions are incredible. The world instruments they get sound great. It sounds great sonically. And the song, The Invocation, is, they take, I guess, these old Bulgarian themes, and they put like a bit of a groove to it, and then Lisa sings to it, and it's just got this nice groove, and it's got this cool Bulgarian ethnic groove. And if you haven't seen the video, go watch that video. It's incredible. It's The Invocation by Dead Can Dance. Incredible video, incredible song, a top 3 song. So I'm ranking it 8th mainly just because it's continuing in the world music vein, which they've already covered. But also, it doesn't grab me as much as some of these other albums, but it sounds great, and The Invocation is a top 3 song. The forest is great, the mountain is great. It opens with Seaborn, which is another highlight, so it's still a solid album. I've got it at 8th, but again, it's an excellent release by an excellent band. So there you go. They've got 10 things we're talking about. They're all excellent, and they all have serious highlights on these albums. So there you go. Coming in at number 8 from 2018, their most recent offering, Dionysus. Okay, coming in at number 7, the only album they did as like a band, is a Gothic band, but I'm going with their debut, self-titled, from 1984. Most people would say, well, this is their worst album, because the production's terrible and it's pretty rough. But it's also the only time you're going to hear Dead Can Dance in this sort of Gothic, dark wave, whatever you want to call it. And also, we opened, the Fatal Impact was the piece that we heard to open this. A Passage in Time is great. You know, I don't necessarily know if I like this scene of music, the post-wave, dark wave, Gothic scene, that The Cure, I guess, are the big runners up, but man, A Passage in Time sounds great. I think Ocean is a song they could play to this day, and it would fit with what they do. Same thing with Frontier. They're trying to do some of this Dead Can Dance stuff early on, but they're in the form of a 4 or 5 piece band, and they're trying to use guitars and drums when they want to be using other instruments. You can just tell. Probably my favorite moment they ever did here. The synths are great. Also, this is the only album where you're going to get a band photo. There's Lisa. There's Brendan. I don't know the other guys. I think Peter Ulrich is one of the other guys, but there are 5 piece. And this would be the only time that it makes sense to have a band photo, when you're actually a rock-based band right in the beginning. Also, it contains a 1984 EP. So this was recorded in 83, released in 84, but this EP, Garden of Arcane Delights, gets the production better. Carnival of Light is pretty good. In Power We Entrust the Love Advocated is a way sophisticated step up from the first album proper. So just a really cool listen of what they sounded like as a band in the very beginning, kind of coming out of that Gothic dark wave thing. So, guilty pleasure album. I like it. I know the production's rough, and I know they would drop their guitars and drums in favor of something much more unique and original. But there you go, coming in at number 7 from 84, recorded in 83, their self-titled album. Okay, coming in at number 6. This is from 1993, so this is their 6th album. There was a 3-year gap between Ion, which was the medieval album, and this one, which is called Into the Labyrinth. And I think this was big over in the States. This was them finally getting distribution over here. And I remember when I played in Time Ghoul, of all things, death metal band back in the day, but Jeff had this CD laying around. And I was like, Dead Can Dance, are they death metal? He's like, no, they're anything but that. They're completely different. He's like, but I like, you know, they got that good moody stuff with those strings and synths and stuff. It translates well to, you know, dark classical or moody stuff like this. At any rate, Into the Labyrinth begins a new phase I call the world music, ethnic world music phase. And a song like Yulunga is probably the best example of this. It just comes out, it's got this cool effect. It sounds like a seagull, but it's probably a world instrument. And it just is the signature of the song. And it starts out moody, and then it comes in with this slow beat, but it's just awesome. The ubiquitous Mr. Lovegrove is odd. And I wouldn't say it's world music. It's using some of those instruments, but it's Brendan crooning on that song. The Wind That Shakes the Barley, don't know what to do with that. I think I saw Lorena McKenna, of all people, and I think she covers that song too. The Carnival Is Over is a really good one, another Brendan Perry song. Not quite world music there, which I like. And then it goes right into Ariadne, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And that's a nice short sketch with Lisa doing the vocals. Towards the Within is a good 7-minute song. Back into that sort of that tribal vibe. The Spider Stratagem. I like the short track. Is it Amaria? It's a cool vocal harmony between Brendan and Lisa. It's really cool. Very. I don't know what part of the world that melody comes from, but it sounds pretty cool, kind of dark. And then it ends with How Fortunate the Man with None, which is, other than Yulunga, probably my favorite track on here. It's really cool. Brendan sings it, and it has nothing to do with the world music stuff. So this is them introducing this ethnic world music thing, different from the medieval flavors, but still holding on to some of those songs that they're known for. So still holding on to some of that, which, you know, the next studio album, they dropped all of that in favor of total, you know, just total tribal beats. But so yeah, this is the beginning of that phase. So I think in the beginning they were a Gothic band in a scene, and then they kind of kept their Gothic qualities to an extent, but they just kept dropping the rock stuff. And they just, you know, they just continued to evolve until they got to this point where they were kind of morphing into medieval music for a little bit. Then they come back, and now they're into this tribal rhythmic thing for a while. Then they go on hiatus, and since they've been back, well, we'll get to that here in a sec. But there you go. Coming in at number 6, another strong album from them, Into the Labyrinth from 1993. All right, I can't believe I'm ranking this number 5. I could make an argument that this is my 3rd favorite. But for today, it's coming in at number 5. Total classic. Their 4th album from '88, The Serpent's Egg. And we're hearing The Host of Seraphim, a top 3 song. You know, I think I said The Invocation from the most recent album is a top 3 song. This song, I knew about Dead Can Dance forever, just from my association with Tyngul and with Jeff. So I knew they were probably legit. If he was listening to them, there was something to it that was good. Finally, I think it was when they were going to release their comeback album, I said, in 2012, I said, all right, let's check these guys out. I literally put on The Host of Seraphim first. What a way to start. What a way to start getting into this group. Yeah, just great. Severance is another good one with Brendan singing that. In the Kingdom of the Blind, the One-Eyed are Kings. That's an interesting one. It's Dead Can Dance, but it's also leaving in this medieval stuff. But they do the medieval mixture here really well, as opposed to Ion, which, again, I'm not saying I don't like Ion, but if I want to hear that medieval version of the band, I'm going to go for The Serpent's Egg. Because they're still holding on to some song stuff, you know, Severance. This song is just brilliant, whatever you want to classify this as. Ulysses to End It is really cool too. Mother Tongue is alright. But you know, they've got some sketches on here. Orbis Dei Ignis is track 2, it's only like a minute and a half. It's nice. But you know, when you get to the Chant of the Paladin, Song of Sophia, Echolalia, I guess is how you pronounce it, that's just all medieval stuff. It's fine, it's good enough. And again, I feel like this should be my number 3, but for some reason I'm putting it at number 5 because, as you'll see here coming up, I'll make a case for why there are a couple albums that I ranked ahead of this, but this is a highlight album for them. 1988, they're just absolutely in their prime. I love their evolution in the decade of the 80s. Absolutely incredible. Here's Saltarello from Ion. I ranked it low, but I do enjoy this song. So there you go, The Serpent's Egg, A Host of Seraphim is one of the great songs they've ever done. Very cool. It's a natural continuation from the album before, but bringing in this, you know, more medieval sound. So there you go. At number 5, The Serpent's Egg from 1988, their 4th album. All right, here we go. Coming in at number 4. This was their comeback album from 2012, Anastasis. And I believe, don't have proof, but I believe that's an opium field, probably somewhere in, like, what, Pakistan? Afghanistan, wherever the opium fields are prominent. And I say that because it looks like an opium field, and there's a song called Opium on here, which is excellent. And Children of the Sun, if we go long enough, you'll hear an excerpt of that. And Anabasis, Agape, Amnesia is incredible. Return of the She-King, it ends it all in good time. Kiko, there's a video for Kiko. I think the reason I've got this ranked 4th is it's so easy to get into. If you think Dead Can Dance, if you're like, I don't know about all that world music, or I'm not really into medieval stuff, or I kind of like rock-based music and I don't hear drums or anything. Like, well, this is more modern and it takes the best of what they do. The ethnic flavors, I guess some medieval flavors, but certainly the world instrument sounds, and a little bit of that Gothic thing, especially from Brendan's crooning voice, but it puts it to a beat, whether that's a drum beat or just a digital beat. These songs all have like a nice groove to them. So it's just, and they sound nice, they're catchy, they have, you know, hooks. It's just a real easy listen. So for anybody watching that doesn't know Dead Can Dance and doesn't know what the heck to think of them, this would be a good place to start. This is an easy way to get into the band, and they got a lot of videos too for this album. So I enjoy it. It's not quite, it's totally Dead Can Dance, but not quite like any of their other albums too, which I give high marks for. I think Spirit Chaser I gave lower marks for a few reasons, but one, they weren't really moving things forward much. Same thing with Ion. They weren't moving things forward a whole lot on that album. But on this is a whole new look for the band, while retaining what they're best at doing. So there you go. Coming in at number 4, this would be their comeback album from 2012. I guess it would be their 8th studio album, 9th album of the ones I'm ranking. And again, the first studio release in 16 years since Spirit Chaser. And what a great way to make a comeback. Sometimes to make a comeback, you put out one album that's okay, and then the next one is where you get it really nailed down. But they got it right here. So there you go. Coming in at number 4 for today, Anastasis from 2012. All right, coming in at number 3, and this is the oddball of the bunch because it's a live album from '94, and it's called Toward the Within, and it was recorded in late '93 in the Mayfield Theater in Santa Monica, California, and that theater apparently burnt down pretty much right after this concert was recorded and filmed for a DVD, or for a VHS, I'm sure at the time. The thing I like about this, it's got 15 songs, 11 are brand new. But the first track, so they're kind of in that world ethnic music thing that started with Into the Labyrinth and kind of closes out with Spirit Chaser. But they open with, I guess it's pronounced Requiem, and that's great. If you like Yulunga, which is also on here, but if you like Yulunga, it's just got this good vibe. And I don't know, Brendan's singing, I don't know if he's just chanting or if he's singing in another language, but he's got this cool vocal line going. You know, desert song. There's a flute solo, but it sounds cool. It's not all crazy and high-pitched. It's kind of mellow and moody. I Am Stretched on Your Grave is a strange traditional piece. Oh, but here's what I love about it. Maybe they've done this on a couple of other albums, but this has a folk element to it that I like. And by folk, I mean Brendan Perry just up there with an acoustic, just singing good songs with good lyrics. I Can See Now and Into American Dreaming. So good. So good. I didn't know they had that aspect to them, but I wish Brendan Perry on every album now would just get on the acoustic and get some good, memorable lyrics and just write some good, the feel-good type folk songs, because he just knocks it out of the park with those back-to-back. I can't listen to one without the other almost. Oman's another good, it's just got that good tribal thing going on, got all those flavors of, I assume, of Oman. You know, that good Arabian, but it's got good energy and it's kind of heavy. Let's see, Sanvian, that's a great one for Lisa. That just showcases her vocal talents all over that song. And then they finish with another folk song from Brendan called Don't Fade Away, which is another good one. So at least 3 awesome Brendan folk tunes on here. Sanvian is excellent. Oman's a good heavy tribal one, just like Requiem, which opens it, is a great one like that. They've got a few others on here that do that desert song a little bit, not quite as heavy as Requiem or Oman, but still good. So it gives you some new good, heavy, dark, moody tribal ones. It gives you the good folk element, and it gives you some good Lisa Gerrard stuff here too. Oh, and by the way, they throw in Yolanga, they throw in the Song of Sybil from Ion, which is one of the highlights of Ion. They throw in Kantara from an album I'll get to here in a sec. And again, 15 songs. If you take out the 4 that were on previous albums, you're left with 11 songs, and those 11 songs give you all of the elements of what you're looking for in Dead Can Dance, especially at this time, and that folk element was just a really nice surprise. So I'm not saying this is their 3rd best album of the 10 I'm talking about. I'm just saying it's my 3rd favorite listen. I just enjoy listening to Dead Can Dance live. And Brendan sounds his best here in the live setting of all places. So there you go. Toward the Within from 1994 coming in at number 3. I can tell we got to speed it up a little bit. So coming in at number 2, we're narrowing it down. I told you I like the 80s version of the band as they evolved. So we're going to their 2nd album from '85, Spleen and Ideal. And this is them shedding their band, and there are drums. I think there are no drums on the first 3 tracks, which are really good in foreshadowing where they're headed for sure. With De Profundis and Ascension and Circumradiant Dawn. But on the Cardinal Sin, you've got good crooning by Brendan. The productions are way better. Some drums, I think he's playing drums, or at least one of the 2 are playing a simple beat. Mesmerism's good with a... So they still got like a rock... There's still a little bit of a rock-based thing here. You still got songs with hooks and choruses and at least a beat. And they're still using a little bit of guitar here. But I just love them at this point in their career. Trying to shed the guitars and drums, but still holding on to a little bit of it. We heard Advent earlier, one of my favorites. Avatar is also excellent. So Advent with Brendan and Avatar with Lisa. Ends with Indoctrination, which is great. Enigma of the Absolute is an absolute classic. So this could be a number 1. I just like to hit play and let it roll. Again, my 2nd favorite listen of these is Spleen and Ideal from 1985. They're evolving out of that first album, which was also cool, but they're evolving out of that and into this, and that leaves only one. My number 1 album is the album after that, their 3rd album from '87. What a cool cover. Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. We heard it, Xavier earlier, my favorite song they've ever done. That keyboard thing, that moody, brooding keyboard thing at the end is just the best. Anywhere Out of the World just blows me away at the beginning. In the Wake of Adversity. Brendan sings on the songs on the first side. There's an instrumental, but outside of that, he sings on all those songs. Flip it over. Dawn of the Iconoclast, that's all Lisa. Kantara is an excellent one. That's all Lisa. Then Summoning of the Muse is probably the highlight for me on the 2nd side. It's just powerful. It's not medieval, but it's getting there. It's just a perfect mix here of them. And they've dropped all the drums, so there are no drums. This is no longer rock bass. This is just a cool vibe. Is it Gothic? I guess. Is it medieval? I don't think so, but I guess you can get those visuals listening to this too. I mean, the last song, Persephone, is really good too. It's just the perfect, in their evolution, this is just like the sweet spot. I think I said that I was reviewing Tangerine Dream, and with their technology, they hit a sweet spot in the mid-70s. I feel like them finally on their 3rd album completely shedding the drums and all the rock elements and just going for just a really cool, moody, awesome vibe. Melodic, kind of dark, moody, but not heavy, like not aggressive in any way, just awesome. So just an awesome album. Again, you can just hit play and go. I just love them at this era. Like I said, Spleen and Ideal was number 2. This is number 1. Serpent's Egg, which is after this, I kind of wanted to put at 3. And I kind of wanted to put their debut at 4 just because it's so cool. But when I listened to some of these other ones, I could not deny the live album or their comeback album either. So, but this is it. We got to speed it up. But there you go. Number 1, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. So real quick, just for today, at number 10, I've got Spirit Chaser. At number 9, I've got Ion. Number 8, Dionysus. Number 7, self-titled debut, Dead Can Dance. At number 6, Into the Labyrinth. At number 5, The Serpent's Egg. At number 4, Anastasis. At number 3, Toward the Within. Number 2, Spleen and Ideal. And at number 1, Within the Realm of a Dying Sun. One last thing, they've got a box set called, Dead Can Dance 81 to 98, and it's got 3 songs from the from this very beginning. If I can find it. Orion, Labor of Love, and then The Protagonist from '84. 3 awesome songs from this era of the band, including the EP Garden of Arcane Delights. So that's awesome. It's got like 10 songs that you'll never find anywhere else, and those 10 songs total like 55 minutes. So you're getting like an album's worth of unreleased material in the box set, and you're getting the Towards the Within. You are getting, if I can find it, you're getting the DVD of this concert. Also, there's a song called Gloridian, which is from that concert. It says it's on the DVD. I haven't seen it on the listing, but you get that song. You get Sambatiki, which is like an outtake from the Spirit Chaser sessions. And they tried to start another album in 1998 before they decided to break up. And that song is called The Lotus Eaters, and it's very cool. It's still got that tribal thing going on, but it's really well done. Oh, and then to introduce themselves to North America in '91, they put out a Greatest Hits compilation, but they did a couple of new songs, and the song Spirit, which is just done by Brendan with like a little basic drum machine and acoustic guitar or clean channel guitar, really good. So not only do you get the DVD of that concert, but you get 3 CDs with all the highlights of the albums up through '98. Like I said, you get 10 tracks and almost an hour of new material, so totally cool to check out. But I think that pretty much covers it. But so there you go. That is reviewing Dead Can Dance. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.